Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let me start with a question that might make you uncomfortable and maybe even a little angry. Have you ever watched a woman fall deeply attracted to a man who isn't the richest, the best looking, or even the most successful in the room? Meanwhile, another man who seems to have everything, the looks, the money, the effort, is completely invisible to her. If you've ever experienced that, if you've ever wondered what the hell women are actually responding to, then what I'm about to tell you might change the way you see attraction forever. But before we go deeper, take 1 second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because the truths we talk about here aren't the kind most people are willing to say out loud. Now listen carefully. Most men believe attraction is built on impressing women. Better clothes, more money, perfect lines, trying to be that ideal guy. But the uncomfortable truth is this. When a man is trying too hard to impress a woman, she often feels something very subtle, but very powerful. Pressure. Not excitement. Not curiosity. Pressure. And pressure quietly kills attraction. You see, attraction for women is rarely about the checklist men think it is. It's not a resume. It's not a performance. It's a feeling, a psychological experience. And the strange part is, the qualities that create that feeling are often the exact opposite of what men spend years trying to build. Some men chase status, some chase approval, some chase the fantasy that if they become perfect enough, women will naturally desire them. But desire doesn't grow from perfection. It grows from presence. The way a man occupies space in the world, the calm certainty in his voice, the quiet belief that he doesn't need to prove his worth to anyone. When a woman senses that in a man, something instinctive wakes up inside her mind. Curiosity, respect, sometimes even fascination. Because the rarest thing in the modern dating world is not beauty. It's not wealth. It's not even confidence. The rarest thing is a man who is completely comfortable with who he is, even if the world doesn't validate him yet. And that's where real attraction begins. Not with what you show a woman, but with what she feels when she's around you. And most men have never been taught how powerful that difference really is. Let me tell you something most men never hear growing up. Women don't become attracted to a man because he is trying to win them over. They become attracted when they feel a certain emotional tension around him, a sense that he is interesting, grounded, and not easily predictable. And that tension doesn't come from games. It comes from authentic self-control. Many men believe they must constantly show interest to keep a woman attracted. They text first every day. They compliment her endlessly. They adjust their opinions to match hers. They try to become the man they believe she wants. But when a man slowly reshapes himself to fit a woman's expectations, something very subtle happens inside her mind. She begins to feel that she is leading the dynamic. And when a woman feels she is leading too much, attraction quietly fades. Not because she dislikes the man, but because the emotional polarity disappears. Healthy attraction needs two independent energies meeting each other, not one person chasing and the other receiving. This is why you sometimes see a man who isn't overly eager, a man who lives his life, pursues his goals, and enjoys a woman's company without orbiting around her, suddenly become very magnetic. He isn't cold. He isn't distant. He is simply centered in his own life. When a woman senses that a man's happiness does not depend on her approval, something fascinating happens psychologically. Her brain begins asking questions. Who is this man? Why doesn't he need validation like everyone else? What is it about him that feels so calm? Curiosity is one of the strongest forces behind attraction. And curiosity cannot exist when everything about a man is instantly available. When a man constantly seeks reassurance, asking if she likes him, if she's impressed, if she's happy, the mystery disappears. But when a man interacts naturally, confidently, and without the silent desperation for approval, the dynamic changes completely. Suddenly, she begins leaning in. She begins observing him more closely, not because he demanded attention, but because he never begged for it. This doesn't mean ignoring women or acting arrogant. True confidence is quieter than that. It's simply the ability to enjoy a connection without feeling like you must control the outcome. And when a man reaches that point internally, women often feel something powerful. relief, because they are no longer dealing with someone trying to convince them. They are simply experiencing someone who already know. Here's a truth most men resist. Women are attracted to emotional stability, even more than excitement. Think about it. You've met guys who are funny, flashy, or intense, and at first, you might have been drawn to them. But if their emotions swing like a pendulum, suddenly they feel unpredictable in a way that triggers stress, not desire. Women's attraction isn't just about charm or energy, it's about how a man makes her feel safe in the intensity of desire. This doesn't mean boring. It doesn't mean predictable. It means a man can show intensity without losing control. A man who can be passionate without panic. Who can express himself without overthinking how she will respond. That balance, that tension, is magnetic. Most men underestimate this. They believe they need to perform to always be exciting, adventurous, or impressive. But women instinctively detect authentic stability. It's in the way a man carries himself when no one is watching. When a man knows who he is and doesn't rely on external validation, he radiates a calm authority. And that authority triggers attraction at a deep, almost primal level. You see, women's attraction often operates on two hidden engines, curiosity and emotional contrast. A man who is emotionally stable, grounded, and self-sufficient provides the contrast to the chaos of life. He becomes the center in a world that often feels unstable, and that contrast makes her brain light up with subconscious interest. Another point men miss entirely: women are drawn to men who have boundaries. Not walls, boundaries. The kind that communicate, I am not here to please everyone. I know my worth. I respect myself. A man with clear boundaries is rare, and rarity is attractive. It signals independence, self-respect, and reliability, all things women unconsciously desire. And here's the kicker most men never understand. You don't have to change who you are to be attractive. You just need to become the man you already are, fully aware of your value, fully in control of your emotional world, and fully present in her company without needing approval. That's the difference between a man who fades into the background and a man who becomes unforgettable. Because women aren't just attracted to what you do or say. They're drawn to who you are when no one else is watching, and how that presence makes them feel alive without fear. When you master this, attraction no longer requires effort. It becomes natural. Now, let me reveal something most men overlook completely. Women are not attracted to perfection. They're attracted to authenticity wrapped in confidence. Think about it. Society has fed men this idea that they must be flawless. Perfect body, perfect job, perfect social life. But here's the hard truth. Women are instinctively drawn to the man who is real, even if he has flaws. Why? Because authenticity signals honesty, courage, and self-awareness. The rarest traits in a world full of pretenders. A man who can openly live in his own skin, laugh at his mistakes, and carry himself with quiet confidence communicates something no checklist ever could. I am secure in myself, and I do not need to convince anyone of my worth. That security is magnetic. It triggers a subconscious feeling in women that they can trust and respect him, and trust is the silent engine of desire. Here's where most men go wrong. They believe attraction comes from effort, trying too hard to be liked, to impress, to win her attention. But women often respond to the opposite: effortless presence. It's not arrogance. It's not aloofness. It's a quiet mastery of self, a calm awareness that the world may fluctuate, opinions may vary, but his value does not. Even small behaviors amplify this. The way a man walks into a room without needing approval. The way he talks about his passions without fishing for compliments. The way he engages her, yet remains emotionally independent. These are the subtle signs of authenticity that scream, this man is grounded and he is attractive because of it. And attraction is never rational. Women feel it before they think it. It's biological, subconscious, and emotional. A man who chases perfection misses this entirely. He becomes predictable, rehearsed, and ultimately forgettable. But a man who embodies authentic confidence becomes unforgettable without even trying. Here's the most important insight. Women crave contrast. They want a man who is calm yet passionate, strong yet vulnerable, independent yet capable of deep connection. That contrast creates emotional tension, a pull that draws her in, often before she even understands why. If you want to be the kind of man who captures attention naturally, you must embrace your true self, flaws included, and develop the quiet authority that comes from knowing you do not need her validation to exist. Because at the end of the day, women are not looking for a perfect man. They're looking for a real man who knows his value and makes them feel alive just by being himself. This is the invisible thread that turns mere interest into deep, instinctive attraction. Here's something almost nobody tells men. Women are more attracted to how a man handles his emotions than to anything he says or does. You could be rich, funny, and physically attractive, but if you crumble under pressure, get jealous easily, or overreact to small conflicts, attraction fades almost instantly. Women don't consciously analyze it, they feel it. They feel the instability, the neediness, the insecurity. And it triggers a deep, primal warning. This man is not safe to invest in emotionally. But here's the flip side, the part most men never notice. Emotional mastery is magnetic. Not because it makes you perfect, but because it signals control, resilience, and maturity. A man who can stay calm when things go wrong, who can handle rejection with dignity, who can speak his mind without aggression, he radiates an energy that women find irresistible. Let me break it down further. Women are subconsciously scanning for a man who can manage chaos while remaining himself. Life is unpredictable, relationships are messy, and emotions are intense. A man who is stable in his own emotional world creates an invisible gravitational pull. She feels a sense of security, and paradoxically, this sense of safety fuels desire, curiosity, and longing. Most men sabotage themselves by thinking attraction comes from doing or saying the right things. But real attraction comes from being anchored emotionally while allowing her to experience her own feelings fully. You don't need to fix her, chase her, or perform for her. You simply need to be the calm center that she unconsciously looks for. And here's the subtle genius most men miss. Emotional mastery is attractive because it allows her to relax into desire. When she doesn't have to worry about your reactions, she can feel free to explore her attraction without judgment or stress. That's when tension, the kind that ignites passion, naturally builds. So stop trying to prove your worth. Stop obsessing over winning her attention. Stop reacting impulsively to every emotional spike. Instead, practice presence, control, and composure. Show her, without words, that you are a man who can handle life, handle her emotions, and handle your own. That invisible confidence, rooted in emotional mastery, is often what women find more compelling than looks, money, or charm combined. Because at a deep, subconscious level, she isn't just looking for someone attractive. She's looking for a man whose emotional world is strong enough to hold hers without fear. And when she senses that, attraction goes beyond surface level. It becomes instinctual, magnetic, and nearly impossible to resist. Here's something almost every man misses. Women are drawn to purpose and direction far more than any superficial traits. You could be tall, muscular, funny, or dressed like a model, and yet, without a clear sense of purpose, something vital is missing. Women feel it before they even realize it. There's a subtle energy that radiates from a man who knows where he's going, what he values, and who he refuses to compromise for approval. That energy is magnetic. Purpose isn't about career success or money. It's about having a life that excites you, challenges you, and makes you feel alive. A man with purpose has internal momentum. He moves through the world with a sense of direction that isn't dictated by what others think, and women notice this instinctively. Contrast this with a man who drifts, who reacts to life instead of creating it. He's constantly seeking validation, attention, or reassurance. No matter how good he looks or how funny he is, he radiates neediness. And neediness, as we've discussed, is one of the quickest ways to kill attraction. When a man has a purpose, it shows in everything. The way he talks, how he handles challenges, how he treats himself and others. He has boundaries, he makes decisions decisively, and he operates from a place of confidence rather than fear. Women sense this on a subconscious level. They see someone who has a life of his own, and it triggers curiosity, admiration, and desire. Here's the subtle truth most men don't realize. Women are not attracted to a man just because of what he can give them in the moment. They are attracted to a man who moves through life as if he doesn't need anyone to validate his existence, because that independence signals emotional strength, security, and stability. Purpose also fuels polarity, the kind that sparks chemistry. When a man is passionate about his life, women sense it. They feel the energy he brings into the interaction. That energy is contagious, magnetic, and primal. It makes her pay attention, lean in, and subconsciously evaluate, how can I be part of this world he's creating? So, if you want to become the kind of man who draws women effortlessly, start here. Cultivate purpose, embrace direction, and live a life so compelling that your presence alone commands attention. Because women aren't just looking for someone to spend time with, they're instinctively drawn to a man whose life has gravity, meaning, and momentum, and who invites them into his orbit without asking for permission. That is the invisible force that turns casual interest into deep, instinctive attraction. Now let me share something most men completely misunderstand. Women are deeply, unconsciously drawn to emotional contrast and challenge, not constant comfort. Think about it. If a woman always knows exactly how a man will react, if he's predictable and endlessly agreeable, she doesn't experience tension. Without tension, there is no spark. Attraction, at its core, is fueled by subtle push and pull dynamics, by a sense that this man exists outside of her control and expectation. That's why men who are too eager, too available, or too nice often become invisible, even if they're objectively impressive. The men women notice are the ones who carry their own world inside them. Men who have opinions, boundaries, and standards. Men who are willing to say no when it matters, even at the risk of temporary discomfort. That resistance creates intrigue. It signals strength. It signals that life is not about appeasing her, but about living fully while inviting her along. Here's the subtle psychological mechanism at work. When a man maintains independence while remaining connected, he activates what I call the desire paradox. She feels safe, but she also feels challenged. She experiences both comfort and excitement simultaneously. That duality triggers her subconscious to invest more attention, more curiosity, more emotional energy into him than into a man who only offers comfort or compliance. Most men think attraction is about effort, gifts, or attention. They believe it's a linear exchange. I do this for her, she will like me. But desire doesn't operate linearly. It operates in contrast, tension, and emotional polarity. A man who can oscillate subtly between presence and independence, warmth and calm, focus and mystery, he becomes magnetic. Even small details amplify this effect. A calm refusal to chase every text. A quiet pursuit of personal goals even when she's around. A refusal to overreact to minor slights or drama. These behaviors signal internal strength, and women unconsciously measure a man's value by how anchored he is under pressure. Attraction is not earned by constant effort. It's activated by emotional architecture. And the architecture that excites women most is a man who creates polarity naturally, one who is stable, grounded, and yet unpredictable in the right ways, a man who can be intensely present without needing to control her response. Mastering this is what separates the invisible men from the unforgettable ones. Because when a man holds his emotional space while allowing her to lean into his presence, something powerful happens. Curiosity becomes desire, and desire becomes attachment, without manipulation, without effort, just through the natural tension of his energy. Women feel this instinctively, and it's irresistible. Finally, let me reveal the most overlooked secret of attraction that can change everything. Women are drawn to a man who lives with quiet confidence, purpose, and emotional mastery simultaneously. Most men chase external markers, money, status, muscles, style, believing these will make them irresistible. But women don't fall for a man because of his possessions or surface traits. They fall for a man whose inner world radiates stability, independence, and self-possession. That combination creates an invisible gravitational field, a tension they feel before they even speak a word to him. Here's the psychological reality. Attraction is experiential, not transactional. Women respond to energy, presence, and emotional architecture, not resumes or rehearsed charm. A man who has mastered his emotions, cultivated purpose, maintained boundaries, and embraced authentic confidence is unknowingly signaling, "I am a man who is complete on his own, yet capable of connection." That message resonates deeply at a subconscious level. The irony most men fail to see is this: the more a man tries to be attractive by external measures, the more he dilutes the qualities that actually create attraction. Over-effort, over-pleasing, and over-explaining all signal lack of self-possession. But when a man focuses on living fully, improving himself, and embracing who he truly is, he becomes magnetic without needing to try. This is why some men with ordinary looks or average resources attract women with intensity, while others with ideal appearances and wealth remain unnoticed. Attraction isn't earned through appearance or effort. It emerges naturally from how a man moves through the world and interacts with others while fully anchored in his own life. Every woman wants a man who can create emotional safety, yet evoke excitement, who can maintain his own purpose, yet invite her into his world, who can remain calm under pressure, yet respond with intensity when the moment calls for it. This polarity is the engine of desire, and mastering it is the closest thing there is to an attraction superpower. So here's the challenge. Stop focusing on what you think women want. Stop trying to impress. Stop molding yourself to external expectations. Instead, focus relentlessly on becoming a man who is grounded, emotionally stable, purposeful, and authentic. Learn to hold space for yourself and others without losing energy, without seeking approval. When you do this, attraction ceases to be something you chase. It becomes something that naturally surrounds you. Women will notice. They will lean in, and they will feel a pull that is instinctive, magnetic, and unforgettable. This is the truth rarely spoken, yet it separates ordinary men from those who are deeply desired. It's not magic. It's psychology. It's power. And now that you know it, it's yours to command.